The forest was quiet, too quiet. Jake Wilson stopped walking and looked around. The birds had stopped singing. Even the insects were silent. Something was wrong. Jake was a park ranger in Montana's Glacier National Park. He knew these woods better than his own home. After 20 years of protecting the wilderness, he could sense when nature was afraid. A bright light suddenly filled the sky. It wasn't the moon. It wasn't a star. Jake shaded his eyes with his hand and looked up. 3 huge triangular ships moved slowly across the night sky. They made no sound as they passed overhead. Jake grabbed his radio. "Dispatch, this is Wilson. I'm seeing something strange in Sector 7. Wilson, we're getting reports from all over. These things are appearing everywhere." Jake watched as the ships began to descend. They were massive, each one larger than a football stadium. The metal hulls gleamed in the starlight. Strange symbols covered their surfaces. His radio crackled with voices. Rangers from across the country were seeing the same thing. Police officers, military personnel, and ordinary citizens were all reporting triangular ships appearing above major cities. In New York City, taxi driver Eddie Brown nearly crashed his cab when one of the ships passed over the Empire State Building. In Los Angeles, college student Amy Chen ran outside her dorm to watch another ship hover over downtown. In Chicago, firefighter Marcus Johnson stood on his station's roof, counting at least 5 ships circling the city. Then the message came. Every television, radio, computer, and phone on Earth received it at the same time. The voice spoke perfect English, but with an odd rhythm that made Jake's skin crawl. "People of Earth, we are the Vorak. For 10,000 years, we have hunted the greatest prey across the galaxy. Now we have chosen your world for our next grand hunt." Jake listened as the voice continued. The Vorak explained they were the deadliest hunters in the universe. They had tracked and killed creatures on hundreds of worlds. They collected trophies from every species they hunted. "You have been given a gift, 72 hours to prepare. When the time ends, the hunt begins. Hide well, run fast, and pray to whatever gods you have. The Vorak do not fail." The message ended. Panic erupted worldwide. Jake saw lights flashing in every direction as people fled their homes. Cars sped down roads. Planes took off from airports. Everyone was trying to escape, but there was nowhere to go. Jake drove his truck back to the ranger station. His fellow rangers were already there, watching news reports on television. The president was speaking from the White House, trying to calm the nation. Military jets flew overhead, trying to approach the alien ships. Nothing worked. The ships had force fields that kept everything away. Scientists appeared on every channel. They explained what little they knew. The Vorak were known throughout the galaxy. They were master hunters who traveled from world to world, killing for sport. No civilization had ever survived their hunt. Jake thought about his wife Laura and their 2 children. They lived in town, just 20 miles away. He needed to get to them. He needed to protect them. As he drove toward town, more Vorak ships appeared. They took positions over forests, mountains, and oceans. They were mapping the planet, learning the terrain for their hunt. The 72-hour countdown had begun. Earth had 3 days to prepare for the deadliest hunters in the universe. 3 days to figure out how to survive. Jake reached his house and found Laura packing bags. Their children, Tommy and Sarah, looked scared but tried to be brave. Laura hugged Jake when he walked in. "What do we do?" she asked. Jake didn't have an answer. Nobody did. But as he looked at his family, he made a decision. They wouldn't run. They wouldn't hide. They would fight. All across Earth, others were making the same choice. Humanity had faced predators before. Now they would face the ultimate predator, and somehow, they would find a way to survive. The Vorak thought they were coming to feast. They would soon learn that Earth was not like the other worlds they had hunted. Here, even the prey had teeth. General Amanda Brooks looked at the room full of military officers and scientists. They had gathered in a secret bunker deep beneath the Pentagon. The clock on the wall showed they had 68 hours left before the hunt began. "Tell me what we know about these Vorik," Amanda said, sitting down at the head of the table. Dr. Kevin Lee stood up. He was a tall man with glasses and messy hair. He turned on a screen that showed images collected from telescopes and satellites. "The Vorik have been mentioned in alien communications we've intercepted over the years," Kevin explained. "We thought they were just stories, legends to scare other species, but they're real, and they're worse than we imagined." Kevin clicked to show pictures of strange worlds. Some were burning, others were empty, with ruins of great cities. "These are planets the Vorik have hunted before. They leave nothing alive." A young scientist named Dr. Emma Davis spoke up. "We've managed to decode some of their transmissions. The Vorik are over 8 feet tall. They have enhanced strength, speed, and senses. They can see in the dark, hear heartbeats from miles away, and track prey by smell." Amanda frowned. "How do they hunt?" "They use advanced technology combined with natural abilities," Emma answered. "They have cloaking devices that make them invisible. Their armor can withstand bullets and explosions, but they prefer to hunt without weapons, using only their claws and teeth." Colonel Frank Rodriguez, head of Special Operations, leaned forward. "Why do they hunt? What do they gain from it?" Kevin switched to a new image. It showed a massive hall filled with mounted heads and bodies of alien creatures. "They collect trophies. Each successful hunt brings them honor and status in their society. Earth is just another hunting ground to them. And humans, we're just exotic game." The room fell silent. On the screen, a Vorik warrior appeared. It had gray skin, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed red. Sharp teeth filled its wide mouth. Claws extended from each finger. "They've hunted over 40 civilizations," Kevin continued. "None have survived. The Vorik always win because they adapt to each world's conditions. They study their prey before the hunt begins." General Brooks stood up. "Then we need to understand how they think, how they operate." She turned to her intelligence officer. "What else do we know?" Major Lisa Carter opened a folder. "We've been monitoring their communications. They talk about us like we're animals. They've divided Earth into hunting zones. Each warrior will claim a territory." She pointed to a map showing the Vorik ships' positions. "They're excited about our cities. They call them concrete jungles. They plan to hunt us in our own streets and buildings." Dr. Lee raised his hand. "There's something else. The Vorik have rules for their hunts. They announce themselves first, as they did. They give their prey time to prepare. It's part of their honor code." "Honor?" Amanda scoffed. "There's no honor in hunting people for sport." "To them, there is," Kevin replied. "They believe a good hunt requires worthy prey. If the prey fights back well, the trophy is more valuable." Colonel Rodriguez looked at the images of Vorik warriors. "Do they have any weaknesses?" Emma Davis typed on her computer. "We're still analyzing their biology. They need to eat frequently. Their metabolism is very high, and they rely heavily on their senses for tracking." "Can we use that against them?" Amanda asked. "Maybe," Emma said. "If we can disrupt their senses, confuse their tracking abilities, we might have a chance." The general nodded. "We have 67 hours now. I want every scientist working on ways to counter their abilities. Every military unit preparing defense strategies. We need to warn civilians about what's coming." As the meeting ended, Kevin Lee stayed behind. He looked at the image of the Vorik warrior on the screen. Something about their confidence bothered him. They seemed too sure of victory. "General," he said quietly, "I don't think they've ever hunted anything like humans before." Amanda turned to him. "What do you mean?" "All these other civilizations they conquered, they were peaceful. Advanced, yes, but not fighters. Humans are different. We've been hunters ourselves. We understand predators because we are predators." Amanda smiled grimly. "Then let's show them what human predators can do." The Vorik think they're coming to feast. Let's make sure they choke on their meal. Lisa Martinez walked through the San Diego Zoo. The animals were restless. Lions paced in their enclosures. Wolves howled. Even the birds acted strange. They knew something dangerous was coming. As the zoo's lead wildlife expert, Lisa had studied predators all her life. Now she sat in a conference room with military leaders, explaining her plan to fight the Vorik. Look at how predators hunt on Earth, Lisa said, pointing to a screen. Lions work in groups. Wolves use pack tactics. But humans, we're the only species that hunts everything, everywhere. We adapt. General Brooks listened carefully. How does this help us against the Vorik? Lisa smiled. The Vorik expect to be the hunters. But what if we become better hunters than them? Across the country, Sam Cooper was already putting this idea into action. The former Navy SEAL gathered his old team in a warehouse in Virginia. They spread maps and equipment across tables. Listen up, Sam said to his men. These aliens think they're hot stuff because they can smell us and see our heat. But they've never hunted in a swamp before. They've never dealt with mud that blocks scent or water that hides heat signatures. His team nodded. They began planning. Some would train civilians in camouflage techniques. Others would set traps. All of them would fight. In Boston, Dr. Janet Mills worked in her laboratory. She was creating a chemical compound that could confuse the Vorik's sense of smell. Her team tested different mixtures on bloodhounds, looking for the right formula. If their noses are as sensitive as we think, Janet explained to her assistants, this compound will overload their senses. They won't be able to track anything. Meanwhile, in Seattle, tech expert Chris Wong hacked into the Vorik communication network. He discovered something important. They're overconfident, Chris told General Brooks over a secure line. They're not even encrypting their messages properly. They think we're too primitive to intercept them. This gave the military an advantage. They could hear the Vorik's plans and prepare accordingly. In rural Texas, Vietnam veteran Bill Taylor taught survival skills to his neighbors. During the war, we learned to disappear, he said. Now I'll teach you the same tricks. He showed them how to cover their tracks, how to mask their scent with local plants, and how to build hidden shelters. People listened and learned quickly. The news spread. Across America and around the world, humans prepared. In the Amazon, indigenous tribes shared their knowledge of jungle warfare with Brazilian soldiers. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal trackers taught special forces how to move silently through the desert. Factories switched from making cars to producing weapons. Scientists in every country worked on solutions. Even children helped, learning to be quiet and stay hidden. Lisa Martinez returned to the Pentagon with her final report. We have something the Vorik don't expect, she told the assembled leaders. We have diversity. Different cultures, different environments, different ways of thinking. The Vorik hunt the same way everywhere. We don't. General Brooks agreed. How do we coordinate all these different approaches? We don't, Lisa said. We let each group do what they do best. The Vorik are used to organize resistance. They won't know how to handle chaos. As the clock ticked down to the final hours, humanity transformed. Cities became fortresses. Forests became traps. Deserts became mazes. Every human became a potential warrior. Sam Cooper met with Jake Wilson, the park ranger from Montana. Together, they planned an ambitious operation. We'll use the national parks as kill zones, Sam explained. The Vorik will expect easy hunting in the wilderness. Instead, they'll find trained fighters who know every tree and rock. Jake nodded. My rangers are ready. We've spent our lives protecting these lands. Now we'll use them to protect our people. With 12 hours remaining, the preparations were complete. Humans waited in their positions. Some were scared. Some were angry. All were determined. Lisa Martinez looked at the countdown clock. She remembered something her grandfather, a Cherokee elder, once told her, the best hunter is not the strongest or the fastest. The best hunter is the one who knows when to wait and when to strike. The Vorak would soon learn this lesson. They thought they were coming to hunt humans. Instead, they were walking into the greatest trap ever set by the greatest hunters Earth had ever produced. The timer reached 0. Across the world, Vorak ships opened their doors. Hundreds of alien hunters dropped to Earth. They roared with excitement, ready to begin their greatest hunt. In the Rocky Mountains, Vorak Commander Kraltor stepped onto Earth's soil. He breathed deeply, expecting to catch the scent of frightened humans. Instead, he smelled only pine trees and fresh rain. He frowned. Something is wrong, he growled to his hunting party. I cannot smell the prey. His warriors activated their heat vision scanners. They saw nothing. The forest appeared empty. Kraltor sniffed again, then touched his communication device. All units report, he ordered. From around the world, confused messages came back. The Vorak hunters in New York found empty streets. Those in London saw abandoned buildings. The ones in Tokyo detected no heat signatures. Where are the humans? Asked Zeknar, hunting in the African savannah. Have they all died of fear? Suddenly, a trap sprung. In the Rocky Mountains, Jake Wilson and his team struck first. They had covered themselves in mud and hidden under heat-blocking blankets. Now they attacked from all sides. The Vorak were surprised. Humans appeared from nowhere, throwing nets made of steel cable. The aliens struggled, their claws tangling in the mesh. Sam Cooper's team used sonic weapons that disrupted the Vorak's sensitive hearing. Kraltor roared in pain as high-pitched sounds filled his ears. He couldn't focus. He couldn't track. His warriors fell one by one. In New York, the scene was different but equally effective. The Vorak hunting party entered Central Park, expecting easy prey. Instead, they found a maze of mirrors and false heat sources. Every time they chased a heat signature, they found only heated mannequins. Police officer Maria Rodriguez watched from a hidden position. She had helped set up the traps. Now she whispered into her radio. They're confused. Spring the second phase. Suddenly, speakers throughout the park blasted recordings of human voices and animal sounds. The Vorak spun in circles, their senses overwhelmed. They didn't notice the snipers taking position. In Paris, the Vorak entered the catacombs beneath the city. They thought humans would hide in the darkness. Instead, they found a labyrinth filled with chemical smoke that blocked their sense of smell. French resistance fighters, descendants of World War II heroes, picked them off one at a time. The pattern repeated worldwide. In the Australian outback, the Vorak found themselves lost in a landscape where every rock looked the same. Aboriginal guides led them in circles until they collapsed from exhaustion. In the Amazon rainforest, Vorak hunters encountered what seemed like a primitive tribe. They laughed, thinking this would be easy. Then the primitives pulled modern weapons from hidden caches and attacked with military precision. Back in the command ship, Vorak Supreme Commander Thax watched the disaster unfold. His best hunters were falling everywhere. He slammed his fist on the control panel. "Impossible," he shouted. "We are the greatest hunters in the galaxy." His second-in-command, Drakval, looked worried. "Supreme Commander, we've never encountered this before. The humans, they're not acting like prey." In Moscow, Russian forces used the cold to their advantage. They lured Vorak hunters onto frozen lakes, then broke the ice with explosives. The aliens' heavy armor dragged them into the freezing water. In the Middle East, desert fighters used sandstorms as cover. The Vorak's advanced sensors couldn't penetrate the swirling sand. Bedouin warriors appeared and disappeared like ghosts. On the seas, naval forces turned cruise ships into decoys. The Vorak boarded what they thought were vessels full of helpless tourists. Instead, they found elite Marines waiting in ambush. By nightfall, the Vorak had lost over a third of their hunting parties. Kraltor managed to escape the Rocky Mountains with only 2 of his warriors. He contacted the Supreme Commander. "This is not as we expected," he reported, shame in his voice. The humans, they hunt us. Fax refused to accept defeat. Regroup. Use full combat mode. No more hunting rules. But it was too late. Humanity had shown its true nature. The Vorak had come expecting frightened animals. Instead, they found a species that had spent millions of years learning to hunt, to trap, to kill. As the first day ended, General Brooks received reports from around the world. Humanity had won the first battle, but she knew the war was far from over. Stay alert, she broadcast to all forces. We've surprised them once. Now they'll adapt. And so must we. Biologist Maria Gonzalez worked without sleep in her Atlanta laboratory. She had discovered something amazing about the Vorak biology. Their sensory organs were incredibly advanced, but also incredibly sensitive. I've got it, she shouted to her team. We can overload their senses completely. Maria had created a pheromone emitter that produced a chemical mixture too strong for the Vorak to handle. It was like shining a bright light directly into human eyes, but for all their senses at once. She contacted General Brooks immediately. We need to spread this everywhere. It will blind them, confuse their smell, everything. Combat pilot Trevor Adams volunteered for the mission. I used to fly crop dusters before joining the Air Force, he said. Give me the compound, and I'll spray it across every city. Within hours, old agricultural planes were loaded with Maria's formula. Trevor led a squadron of crop dusters, flying low over cities and forests. They sprayed the pheromone mixture like a morning mist. The effect was immediate. In Chicago, a Vorak hunting party suddenly stopped mid-attack. They grabbed their heads, roaring in pain. Their eyes watered. Their noses burned. They couldn't tell up from down. Human resistance fighters took advantage of the confusion. They emerged from hiding places and attacked. The once fearsome Vorak warriors stumbled blindly, easy targets for human weapons. In Berlin, Klaus Weber led a resistance group that had been studying captured Vorak technology. They learned how to hack the aliens' communication systems. Now they broadcast fake orders, sending Vorak hunters into carefully prepared traps. Strike Team Alpha, proceed to Sector 7. Klaus said in perfect Vorak language. He watched on hidden cameras as alien warriors walked straight into a building rigged with explosives. The explosion lit up the night sky. More Vorak fell victim to human cunning. In San Francisco, tech entrepreneur Jenny Kim used drones to harass the Vorak. Her flying machines carried speakers that blasted ultrasonic noise. The sound was too high for humans to hear, but caused tremendous pain to Vorak ears. They may be stronger, Jenny explained to her team, but our technology can still hurt them. As word spread about successful tactics, humans grew bolder. They stopped running and started hunting the hunters. In Africa, Maasai warriors used traditional hunting techniques to track Vorak through the savannah. They leave tracks like any other animal, said Elder Joseph Neku. Big tracks for big prey. In the Scottish Highlands, ghillie-suited snipers picked off Vorak scouts. In the sewers of Mumbai, street children led aliens into dead ends, where police waited with electrified nets. The tide was turning. Vorak commanders sent panicked reports back to their ships. The humans are everywhere. They attack from shadows. They poison the air itself. Commander Kraltor, still recovering from his defeat in the Rocky Mountains, tried to rally his remaining forces. He gathered them in an abandoned warehouse outside Denver. We are Vorak, he shouted. We do not fear prey. But his warriors looked uncertain. They had never encountered prey that fought back so effectively. Some whispered about returning to their ships. Maria Gonzalez continued to improve her formula. She created a version that would last for days. Trevor Adams and his pilots spread it across entire regions. Soon, large parts of Earth became no-go zones for the Vorak. General Brooks watched the situation reports with satisfaction. We're winning, she told her staff. But we need to keep pushing. We need to make them afraid of us. Jake Wilson agreed. In nature, even the biggest predator runs from prey that fights back too hard. The Vorik need to learn that lesson. Human groups organize more efficiently. Scientists shared discoveries. Military units coordinated attacks. Civilian resistance fighters learned from each other's successes. In Tokyo, a captured Vorik warrior begged for mercy. "Please," it said through a translator, "let me return to my ship. I will tell them Earth is too dangerous." The humans discussed this offer. Some wanted to show mercy. Others remembered the worlds the Vorik had destroyed. Finally, they reached a decision. They would let this warrior go, but with a message. Earth was no longer prey. Earth was the predator. As the second day of the hunt ended, the Vorik had lost more than half their forces. Their confidence was shattered. The hunters had become the hunted, and they didn't know how to handle it. Commander Ashley Taylor stood in the underground bunker near Washington, D.C. Before her knelt 3 Vorik hunters, their weapons removed and their hands bound. They had been captured during a failed attack on the Capitol. "What are your names?" Ashley asked through a translator device. The largest Vorik lifted his head. "I am Zorketh, honored hunter of the third pack. These are my brothers, Dranval and Kextor." Ashley studied them. Despite their fierce appearance, she saw something familiar in their eyes. Pride, fear, confusion. "Why do you hunt us?" she asked. Zorketh straightened. "It is our way. For 10,000 years, the Vorik have proven their worth through the Great Hunt. Only by defeating worthy prey can we earn our place in society." Dr. Kevin Lee entered the room carrying books and photographs. "I want to show you something," he said. He spread pictures on the table. Deer hunters, fishing boats, ancient cave paintings of mammoth hunts. "Humans hunt too," Kevin explained. "But we learned something your people never did." Zorketh leaned forward, curious despite himself. "What did you learn?" "Respect," Ashley answered. "We hunt to eat. We hunt to protect. We hunt to maintain balance. But we respect what we hunt." Kevin showed them more pictures. Wildlife preserves, hunting licenses, conservation programs. "We have rules. We protect species from extinction. We make sure there will always be animals for future generations." The Vorik looked confused. "You limit your hunting?" "Yes," Ashley nodded. "Because we understand that if we kill everything, we destroy ourselves too." Dranval spoke for the first time. "On our world, those who do not hunt are worthless. They clean waste and serve the hunters." "Is that why you travel the galaxy?" Kevin asked. "Because you've hunted everything on your own planet." The Vorik fell silent. The truth hung in the air. Ashley ordered food brought in. To the Vorik's surprise, she untied their hands. "Eat with us," she said. "Tell us about your world." Over the next hours, an amazing thing happened. The Vorik began to understand human culture. They saw that humans found honor in many ways, through art, science, teaching, healing. Zorketh watched videos of human hunters who used every part of their prey, who said prayers of thanks, who taught their children to respect nature. "Your hunters," he said slowly, "they seem to feel sadness when they kill." Ashley nodded. "It's called empathy. We understand that all life has value." Meanwhile, General Brooks was planning something bigger. She had captured Vorik from different hunting parties and put them together in secured facilities. She wanted them to talk to each other, to spread doubt among their ranks. The strategy worked. As captured Vorik shared their experiences, they began to question their mission. They spoke of humans who fought with honor, who showed mercy to the wounded, who protected the weak. "They are not like the others we have hunted," Kextor admitted. "They fight not just for survival, but for principles." Back in the bunker, Zorketh made a request. "May I send a message to my ship?" Ashley considered this. "What would you say?" "That we were wrong about humans. That there is more honor in your way than in ours." Ashley allowed it. Zorketh recorded a message that was broadcast to all Vorik ships. He spoke of human courage, human wisdom, human mercy. He spoke of a better way to prove one's worth. The message caused chaos among the Vorik. Some commanders accused humans of using mind control. Others listened and began to doubt. Arguments broke out on the ships. Supreme Commander Thax grew furious. These are lies. The humans have corrupted our warriors' minds. But more Vorik were questioning their mission. They had come expecting easy prey and found something entirely different. They had encountered a species that understood both how to hunt and how to show compassion. As news spread of the captured Vorik's message, human resistance groups began to change tactics. Instead of killing every alien they found, they started capturing them. They showed them kindness. They taught them about Earth. The psychological war was proving more effective than any weapon. The Vorik had never faced enemies who could defeat them both physically and philosophically. They were being hunted in ways they never imagined. The third day of the hunt began with Operation Apex. General Brooks stood in the command center, watching screens that showed cities across the globe. Every major urban area had been transformed into a carefully designed trap. "All units report ready," she announced. "Begin the operation." In New York City, skyscrapers became sniper nests. Subway tunnels led to dead ends filled with explosives. Every street corner had hidden cameras and motion sensors. The Vorik thought they were entering hunting grounds. Instead, they walked into the world's largest ambush. In London, the remaining Vorik forces gathered in Hyde Park. They believed they were regrouping for a new attack. What they didn't know was that every tree, every bench, every pathway was monitored. Underground, British special forces waited with nets and stun weapons. Jake Wilson led his team into position on a Vorik mothership hovering over Montana. They had stolen Vorik armor from fallen hunters and used their own cloaking technology against them. As they moved through the ship's corridors, Jake whispered to his team, "Remember, we're not here to fight. We're here to end this." The human infiltrators reached the ship's command center. Using knowledge gained from captured Vorik, they accessed the main computer system. Jake plugged in a device created by Earth's best hackers. Within seconds, they had control of the ship's communications. "Do it," Jake ordered. His tech specialist, Danny Torres, broadcast images of the Vorik's defeats across the galaxy. Every alien species that feared the Vorik saw their failures, their captured warriors, their fleeing hunters. On the mothership, Vorik Commander Thax watched in horror as his reputation crumbled. "Stop them," he screamed. But it was too late. Jake's team had also sabotaged the ship's weapons systems. As Vorik warriors rushed to stop them, the humans activated emergency protocols that locked down entire sections of the ship. Back on Earth, the traps were springing. In Tokyo, Vorik hunters chased what appeared to be fleeing civilians into a shopping mall. The doors slammed shut behind them. The mall filled with knockout gas. When the Vorik awoke, they were in cages. In Sao Paulo, Vorik warriors followed heat signatures into abandoned factories. The buildings collapsed around them, triggered by carefully placed demolition charges. Those who survived found themselves surrounded by Brazilian military units. The pattern repeated everywhere. Humans used the Vorik's own hunting instincts against them. The aliens couldn't resist chasing prey, even when logic should have warned them of danger. Maria Gonzalez and her team perfected their pheromone formula. Trevor Adams led continuous flights over Vorik positions, keeping them disoriented and weak. The aliens could barely function, let alone hunt. On the mothership, Jake's team found something unexpected: Vorik historical records. They discovered that the Vorik hadn't always been hunters. Thousands of years ago, they had been peaceful explorers until a disaster on their homeworld forced them to become warriors to survive. They forgot who they used to be, Jake realized, just like we sometimes forget that we can be more than fighters. Commander Thax finally ordered a retreat. All forces returned to the ships. The hunt is over. But many Vorik refused to leave. Some, influenced by their time with humans, wanted to stay and learn. Others were too ashamed to return home as failures. A few even asked to join human society. As the Vorik ships prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Jake broadcast one final message. You came here as hunters. You leave as the hunted. Let all the galaxy know that Earth protects its own. The battle was won, but victory felt different than expected. Instead of celebrating the enemy's destruction, humans celebrated their own unity and ingenuity. They had faced the galaxy's deadliest predators, and won not just through force, but through intelligence, compassion, and understanding. General Brooks addressed the world. We showed them something they didn't expect: mercy. We proved that true strength isn't about destroying others, but about protecting what matters. As the sun set on the third day, Earth stood victorious. The greatest hunt in Vorik history had ended not with trophies for the hunters, but with a lesson they would never forget. Sometimes the most dangerous prey is the one that can teach you about yourself. 6 months after the great hunt ended, Jake Wilson stood on the observation deck of Earth's first space station built with Vorik technology. Beside him stood Zorketh, now an ambassador for his people. The Vorik fleet had returned to their homeworld in shame. But instead of punishment, they sparked a revolution. Stories of human courage, wisdom, and mercy spread through Vorik society like wildfire. My people are changing, Zorketh told Jake. The old ways of proving worth through killing are being questioned. Many now seek to follow the human path. On the planet below, former enemies work together. Vorik engineers helped humans build advanced defense systems. Human teachers traveled to the Vorik homeworld to share knowledge about conservation and ethics. General Amanda Brooks met with leaders from across the galaxy. Word had spread quickly about Earth's victory. Species that had lived in fear of the Vorik now looked to humans for protection. Earth has become a symbol, she explained to the United Nations Assembly. We showed that even the deadliest hunters can be defeated without losing our humanity. The Galactic Council, a governing body that the Vorik had long ignored, offered Earth a permanent seat. They wanted human wisdom to guide future decisions about interstellar relations. Lisa Martinez established the first interstellar wildlife protection agency. Former Vorik hunters joined as rangers, using their tracking skills to protect endangered species across multiple worlds. They make excellent conservationists, Lisa noted with a smile. They understand predators because they were predators. Maria Gonzalez's research into Vorik biology led to medical breakthroughs. The same compounds that disrupted their senses could be modified to treat human neurological disorders. Science had turned a weapon into a cure. Sam Cooper founded the Earth Defense Academy, training humans and aliens alike in defensive tactics. The galaxy is full of threats, he said. We need to be ready, but we also need to remember what we fight for. On the Vorik homeworld, a new government formed. They outlawed hunting sentient species and began restoring their own damaged ecosystem. Young Vorik learned about their ancient history as explorers and scientists. Jake Wilson was chosen to lead Earth's first Galactic Game Warden unit. Their mission: prevent any species from hunting others to extinction. The team included humans, Vorik, and members of other alien races. We patrol the shipping lanes, investigate illegal hunting, and protect vulnerable worlds, Jake explained to a group of cadets. We're not just enforcing laws, we're changing minds. The biggest change came when the Vorik offered formal tribute to Earth. They brought advanced technology, rare minerals, and most importantly, their oath to never again hunt sentient beings. Supreme Commander Thax himself came to Earth to apologize. We thought strength meant domination, he said. Humans taught us that true strength lies in restraint. Earth's cities rebuilt with alien architecture standing alongside human buildings. Children played with Vorik younglings in parks that had once been battlefields. The scars of the hunt faded, replaced by bonds of understanding. Trevor Adams started an interstellar shipping company, using modified crop dusters to deliver supplies to remote colonies. From spraying pheromones to delivering medicine, he laughed. Quite a career change. In schools across Earth, children learned about the Great Hunt as a turning point in human history. They studied not just the battles, but the lessons about empathy, cooperation, and the responsibility that comes with power. As Jake looked out at the stars, Zor-Keth joined him. "Do you know what my people call Earth now?" the former hunter asked. Jake shook his head. "The world that hunts with wisdom. You didn't just defeat us. You saved us from ourselves." A ship approached the station, carrying diplomats from a dozen worlds. Each came seeking Earth's guidance, not its submission. The deadliest hunters in the universe had learned the hardest lesson, that true victory comes not from conquering others, but from teaching them a better way. Jake smiled as he watched the stars. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not as conquerors, but as teachers. The hunters had become protectors. The feared had become friends, and the universe would never be the same.